Joining me now from Washington, D.C., Executive Director of the Center for Immigration Studies, Mark Krikorian. Mark, it's astounding to me. It's astounding, number one, to hear a United States Senator speak that way on behalf of defending sanctuary cities and her sanctuary state. That's number one. Number two, she needs to be held accountable right along with the sanctuary municipalities and the sanctuary state of California. At some point, these people need to be held accountable to the rule of law and to the supremacy clause of the United States Constitution.
There's no question that sanctuary cities are doing the kind of thing that the antebellum, and you saw in the antebellum South, with southern states essentially trying to nullify federal law. This is the same kind of thing as the pro-slavery people were doing 150 years ago, is what we're seeing with the pro-illegal immigration people today. There are two ways that that kind of accountability can happen. One is political, and people in these jurisdictions need to, wake up and vote to change these policies. And I think at some point you're going to see it as these outrages accumulate. But the other thing is the federal government using especially the power of the purse. The problem is that there's a limit to what the feds can do to force states to do certain things in exchange for federal funding. The courts there's a whole body of law on this, and obviously our judges, frankly, at this point, aren't really tethered to the law anymore. They're just making stuff up. And if Trump wants it, there's whole bunches of judges in California who will just say no, regardless of what the law says.
Right, but in the end, you're right. It's the Article 1 branch of government that should be holding these sanctuaries accountable. Now, Article 1 often gives power to Article 2 to enforce laws. And I firmly believe the President of the United States would be on firm ground if he said, hey, you know what, San Diego, you got that nice big military base? Maybe we'll pull out some assets, or this Social Security Administration building in Los Angeles. You know what? Maybe we don't really need it in Los Angeles anymore. Start pulling out assets. This is the only way these people are going to pay attention. But it begs the question, the bigger question, how many illegals are in this country? Ken Cuccinelli of the Trump administration says now it's 22 million based on an MIT study. We had the folks at FAIR, you're familiar with them, they came in with a number of 14 million. Mark, I firmly believe it's probably both of those numbers combined, somewhere in the neighborhood of 30, 40 million.
We don't think so. Now, the FAIR estimate of 14 million could be right. We haven't really sort of gotten up to our elbows in the details of how they came up with that number. The numbers that other sources have used are 10 to 11 million, and people scoff at that, saying it's been that way for a long time. But frankly, illegal aliens come and go. People die, people get green cards, people leave and move back home. So it's no surprise that the number hasn't really grown very much. Like I said, it could be 14 million. I have a lot of respect for Ken Cuccinelli, but I don't think 22 million is even possible, because, and let me tell you why, we've written on this. If there were that many extra people we didn't know about, you would see it in the birth records, the death records, the school statistics. If it were 22 million, if that were the number of illegal immigrants, that would mean that there were 1 million children of illegal immigrants that we don't know about and that don't exist anywhere in any school records. I don't think that's possible. So I actually think, a number of 10 or 11 million, maybe 12, could even be 14, I don't know. That's probably the upper bound of where the number really is. And, honestly, how big does it have to be an outrage? It seems to me 1 million illegal aliens would be a ridiculously huge number as it is, let alone, 10 or 12 or 14.
Right, and there was an attempt, if I remember right, Mark, to quantify the number of illegals in this country. It was called the United States Census. And a very simple question that the Trump administration wanted to ask, what is your citizenship? It would have been a way, at least an attempt, to quantify who's in this country from another country and who's in this country from another country who's here illegally. It was an attempt, but of course it was shot down by the courts. Mark, thank you.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.